The reason that you cover the sport is for the big occasion, and there is no bigger occasion than the Olympics.
There was just this incredible experience of what sport can do.
Growing up, it was my childhood dream to go to an Olympics. It's why I started playing the sport.
That was honestly one of the greatest moments of my career.
Super incredible, like life-changing experience.
Nothing replicates that feeling of adrenaline.
The vast majority of these sportsmen and women in sports that are so prominent at the Olympics get so little coverage at all, and they know that really they have one day in 4-year chance to put their name out there. And the difference between being someone that went to the Olympics but didn't win a medal compared to a gold medalist is astronomical. I've interviewed countless teenagers that compete at the very highest level across a whole range of sports, and I will forever be in awe at how they manage it.
This is Willem Murray, 17, short track speed skater.
This is Freddie Polak, also 17, short track speed skater.
I'm a short distance skater. I'm just quicker. I don't have much stamina. 500 metres and sometimes 1,000 metre.
It's about 35 miles an hour, something around that, on the sprinting, maybe a bit more. We're both in the same age category, and it's not a massive sport in the UK, so we're both racing each other all the time, really. I'd say like since we were 5.
No idea. Ages.
Yeah, forever. We're mates off the ice all the time, obviously, but when we're on the ice, you have that competitiveness, you just want to win the race.
On the ice, you just have to ignore about your friends, just have to ignore that factor.
I love watching the sport. It's a really fast-paced sport, really exhilarating to watch.
I suppose it's not my choice. He's always loved sport. He used to do ice hockey, but he's always loved the speed skating more, so he's chose that.
When we were younger, Fred was always just dominating everyone. He was the fastest by a mile.
I can't remember when I won my first one. I've got like 5 British records or something. In lockdown I gained like a lot of weight because I didn't grow. I just plateaued. I didn't improve at all. I almost quit, but I just kept going. And then this season I've improved like 9 seconds. So I've got personal best of 9 seconds in all distances.
When they're both the same age and they're both skating at the same time, the whole thing makes it very competitive.
You can see that from early on, and all they want to do is try to win and get better and better. The drive comes when they get a little bit older and they start to realise where they can go with the sport, and they realise themselves that they've got the talent to do that.
Somehow managing to train and then perform whilst also navigating growing up and everything that comes with, and finding their place in the world. I don't really know how they managed to do it.
My name's Emily Hutt and I'm a full-time athlete for BMX racing. I just want to win.
We're currently in Manchester indoor BMX track. This is the only BMX facility which is fully indoor in the world. Typically in BMX you're 8 abreast. You're going from 0 to 50, 55, 60k an hour in the space of about 2.5 to 2.7 seconds, and you're doing all that within about 2 inches of each other. So it's all strength, power, explosivity. You've got to be brave, you've got to be courageous.
You basically go from the start to the finish as quick as you can, getting over the jumps as fast as you can and passing people. Literally as a kid, I hated losing, and I feel like it was probably quite bad, but even just in school, the running races or the long distance, like I had to win. Everyone always says like win the Olympics. That's like the go-to for everyone, I think. 4 years is a long time, so I should really be getting into like my prime then, but it also doesn't feel like a long time at all.
Different athletes have different motivations at different points, whether that's age or whether they're stage in career. Emily's at that youthful point where she wants to win and anything else isn't good enough. The whole point of the reserve status for the Olympics and travelling reserve is that you're taking that athlete on the basis that you believe their capabilities for the next games. But ultimately, as a travelling reserve, you're preparing to race worst case scenario, and I think that's a large part of their experience, seeing what goes on a race day behind the scenes that they typically wouldn't see.
I went to my first Olympic Games in Sydney in 2000. I was part of a women's squad that won the first medal ever for British rowing at the Olympic Games for the women's side. There was just this incredible experience of what sport can do, what one moment can do to influence a whole other generation, or to inspire, or to engage. I didn't come from a sporting family, so when I graduated and said to my mum and dad, right, I know I've got this really good degree in law, but what I'm really going to try and do is actually just see where this rowing could take me. I always felt actually education and sport can balance each other brilliantly, and there's a sense that both worlds can become quite intense and very focused.
There's all balancing with school at the moment, just making sure that I can get all my sessions done. Sometimes I have to train by myself and not with a team because of my school commitments.
You've got to have other interests, you've got to stay balanced, have to have some downtime to reflect on.
If you want to become the best at something, you have to commit all your time to that. I chose this instead.
He's chosen not to go into the education after his GCSEs, so he's just a full-time athlete now. I'm fine with that. He's got a goal and he wants to achieve, so if that's what it is, I'll support him for that.
As they're growing up, we're constantly telling them that education is important, and it is, for them to do as far as they can within the education. For short track speed skaters, there is no financing it afterwards, so they have to have something that they can fall back on, and they usually find it while they are an elite athlete, while they're skating. They usually find out something that they get into.
And actually, for me, having something that was so different, so if you get exhausted in lectures and library and essays, actually going out in the river or in the canal or the gym was so refreshing and stimulating for me. But likewise, after being physically exhausted by sport, I loved going and sitting quietly and thinking and being challenged in a different way.
As an athlete who's 19, 20 years old, all you're concerned about is going fast on a BMX bike. And the mere thought of when someone who's older, even though we've experienced this stuff, if someone older comes in and goes, you need to have a think about the future, you don't really take it on because you don't think it's not prevalent to you yet.
I did try and get a job. I think I did 2 shifts and then had to leave. I have actually thought about what I would do after, just in case, and I still don't really know what I do because I don't want to go to uni. I'm trying to sort out getting my coaching course done.
There are a lot of programs in place to help athletes prepare for what they're going to do after their careers, and also understand that while they may not have been to university, they may not have the same qualifications that some of their peers that haven't been sports people have. They have gathered attributes, teamwork and dedication and things like that other people haven't been able to do, and they can harness that in other spheres.
I studied law, and I was very aware a lot of my peers were going to be going on to careers and salaries that were going to be way beyond anything I could come close to through sport.
I think I knew that there isn't going to be a lot of money. I think I kind of knew it from the start.
There is absolutely no comparison between Premier League footballers and Olympic athletes. Even the highest paid Team GB Olympic athlete will be on a minuscule percentage of what the average Premier League footballer will be paid. And if you look at the highest Premier League footballers, they're on many, many millions, whereas Team GB have just under 350 athletes going to Paris. I would be stunned if more than a handful earn 7-figure sums per year, and even saying a handful is probably overblowing it.
There's no financial rewards in it, there's no prize money, there's no appearance money, there's nothing.
That UK sport financial model could not have been more transformative. It's changed everything. The sort of low point came at Atlanta 1996, where Britain won 1 Olympic gold medal, which was their lowest gold medal haul ever. And really there was an immediate overhaul. UK sport was created the next year. This funding model was put in place whereby the government contributes some of the money through UK sport and the National Lottery contributes some of the money through UK sport. And UK sport then distributes that amongst all of the sports. Since then, Britain has gone from the mid-30s in 1996 in the medal table, and now Britain is in the top 5 every single time.
The national lottery that was created in the UK in the sort of mid-90s, and good causes were going to benefit from people buying lottery tickets. So people buy a lottery ticket, and the good causes would be sport and culture and heritage and charities. It supports athletes individually, but it puts a huge amount of money into every national governing body for the Olympic and Paralympic sports, both summer and winter.
With minority sports, it's very difficult to get funding, but the governing bodies do try their best, and they point all the clubs towards all the funding that's available, and it's very performance related as well, so that the better the athletes can do, the more funding is available to them, so it is important that they perform as well.
UK sport have a very difficult dilemma in that they would love to financially support an enormous range of people across a vast range of sports. They just can't do that because there isn't enough money. Historically, they've gone down a route of targeting where they think medals can be won. In a sport like rowing, for example, rowing is very well funded by UK sport because Britain wins lots of medals. Whereas in a sport like canoe sprint, for example, there are no British canoe sprinters in Paris, so there is no funding. Now there is mitigation to that in that UK sport do look at younger age groups. They look at who's coming through, they try and work out what's going to happen, but ultimately it can be an element of pot luck.
My dad and my mum put as much effort in as they can. They try their best because we get some money through sponsors and funding, but there's also a lot of money that has to be put in just from our parents and what they earn anyways.
Massive commitment financially, time-wise. We're up early in the mornings because we have to drop him off at the ice rink.
What we don't see is them hauling themselves out of bed when it's freezing cold outside, chucking it down with rain, and they're going out and they're forcing themselves to train every single day. One thing you really need to succeed at the highest level at the Olympics is self-belief. I think that's what separates the great from the good. It's self-belief and determination.
Successful athletes, they're very resilient, they're very focused, they're very good at kind of knowing what they want.
Everyone wants to win, so that's what you're here for. Milan Cortina 26, obviously you want to get there. If you don't aim for the top, then what are you doing in the sport?
I would be happy with like podiums and stuff like that, but yeah, definitely winning.
Olympic gold. Yeah. Big goal.
I want to lap it up, wave to the crowd, blow kisses to my boyfriend or something.
For underwater, we're always counting the music. So when the music's on, we've got to be counting every beat so that we're in sync.
The financial situation is always a bugbear for us. We've been asked to hit certain targets, which we've done. Then the goalposts have shifted a bit.
There is a lot of unhappiness with regards the financial compensation that they receive for being the stars of the show.
Injuries isn't just a physical thing, it changed my whole life.